Hello, preppers. This is Perrin Lovett back for a special evening edition of the Prepper Post News for Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. What a day! It was Inauguration Day in the former United States. Um, and I'm sure most of you saw well, let me see here. Some of you saw the regular news in this morning that I necessarily made before the big events of the day unfolded. But that video was called Inauguration and some other headers. Um, and YouTube was kind enough to come along with one of their descriptive boxes that gets in between the video and the title of the video. It's called U.S. Elections Show More. It says Joe Biden is the President of the United States. It further informs us that states certify results after ensuring ballots are properly counted and correcting irregularities and errors. Learn more. Thank you, YouTube, for stating the painfully obvious. Joe Biden is, in fact, now the President of the United States. And I hate to point this out, but I'm a little concerned that you may have slipped on something. So I'll maybe you can edit this into your little box. Joe Biden is the President of the United States, and Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States. And watching the excruciatingly painful clown show today around noon in the District of Corruption, Senator Claw Bark, whatever her name is, repeated over and over how historic the vice presidency of Mrs. Harris really is. She was that little girl on the bus, the first this, that, and the other thing to become vice president. If I understand the story correctly, she really had to. Gotta be careful with this. She worked harder than just about any other vice president to make it where she got herself. So work on that. I mean, show a little respect for the little girl on the bus. Everybody at YouTube, there are a lot of you, and please consider now coming over and joining the FP community. That's www.freedompreppercommunity.com. All one word, lowercase, freedompreppercommunity.com. That's where you will always find these videos and other presentations from Freedom Prepper. You can find that at the freedomprepper.com site as well. But at the community, we enjoy discussion, without added labels that miss half of the historic facts anyway. So anyway, yes, I know some of you did not watch the finale today. I did. I watched it just as much as I possibly could, and we're going to talk about the fact that half the country, especially our half, feels let down. And I got some words of encouragement, but I first wanted to have a sip of Freedom Prepper coffee. What a day. Freedom Prepper coffee, Freedom Roasters coffee. We don't just prep the beans, we roast them in this nice, brand new, enormous industrial roaster that I don't know if I put pictures of that up. We'll have to get to that next week. We might even want to start offering factory tours. It's really nice. I want to get straight to, I found the transcript of Joe Biden's inaugural address this today at the Capitol, and he went through. There are just a couple things that jumped out at me. How should I put this? There's a little bit of truth in this. I want to point that out. A lot of just fluffy political talk, a lot of fluff, a little blasphemy, just abusing the old Constitution, and more just blasphemy, calling on the name of God in vain, which that might have been the theme of the whole thing. taking the Lord's name and blame in vain and blaming. Let's see here. We've got. No, I really don't want to go through most of this. The cry for survival comes from the planet itself. Now, what there was one quote. You got to forgive me. I lost this, and it was where he told the truth, and it was geez. Yes. Second paragraph. I was right on top of it. This is Joe Biden. I'm quoting Joe Biden, who is the President of the United States, number 46, if you can believe that. Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause. The cause of democracy, and democracy. We're going to have to come up with a new, more accurate definition of democracy, because I get the distinct feeling it now means when the globalists just get whatever the hell they want. But a cry has gone up from the planet itself. You might have heard that. When people weren't talking, since there were only 5 or 6 people in attendance, it was very quiet. You might have heard the cry of the planet. A cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear. And now, a rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism that we must confront and we will defeat. Extremism, white supremacy, and domestic terrorism. In the next paragraph, he's calling for unity. You see, he called half the country a bunch of racist Nazi insurrectionist thugs, but he wants unity. And, there's just no point in going through that anymore. So, yeah. A lot of people are disappointed. A lot of people trusted the plan. And, quite obviously today, the plan, if it was intended as stated by various parties this whole time, did not work out. Now, it didn't mean that there was anything wrong with the plan or that there wasn't a plan. I mean, yeah, it's true. The plan may have worked to perfection. It may have been a false flag kind of plan, but I don't think so. I think it was, a hope mechanism meant to give people, boost spirits, and it worked. Because if this was going to happen anyway, it was going to happen anyway. So instead of having, 80 million or 100 million disaffected people down in the dumps, well, at least they had something to pin their hopes on. And, I found myself hopeful right up until about 12 o'clock today. And I'm still hopeful because there's still a lot of good that's going to come out of whatever's left of this democracy, where if you didn't watch it, you try to find the video before its memory hold. What an odd collection of it was like watching a clown show at the circus. It just went on and on and on, and surprisingly it wasn't that boring. Parts of it were, almost entertaining. There was a creepiness to it. I was watching this and I was corresponding with the gang at the same time, and I said this is another good thing. Another good thing about Joe Biden. At least he didn't sniff or try to sniff Lady Gaga, unless I missed that. There was so much else going on with the literally the dozen or so fans out in front of the field of flags surrounded by soldiers. It is what it is. So the media is still, let me just check this again. Yeah. The ultra liberal Drudge Report is just, you have to scroll down to get to Biden. They are still hammering on Donald Trump even after he is gone, and That's their leading headline. It shows Trump walking away towards Marine One. He's gone. Disgraced. Skips inauguration. Unwell appearance. Nation exhausted. The Don revokes lobbying ban after promising to drain the swamp. We'll get to that. We'll get to not being too hard on Donald Trump, because he has given us one form of victory. Extends this and that, secret pardon, blah, 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 blah. And there he is. There's old Joe, who looked pretty good, I gotta say, taking the oath of office. In God he trusts, or democracy. God, democracy. Let's talk about Donald Trump. He was not neither the man that America really needed at this point in history. This point being the past 4, 5, or 10 years. But he fell short of the of what we needed. It's not his fault, because at the same time, he was probably, I was not always, and I'm not always, the biggest Trump fan. He's a baby boomer, civic nationalist, negotiator, businessman. He, who likes to brag, and he's a showboat. He was a big Twitter head. Let's get off of that. Jeez. But I do think he did the best that he could. This thing is a monster. And, really to drain it, I don't know what it's going to take. Something stronger than Donald Trump. But at the same time that he wasn't quite what we needed, he was honestly a little better than we deserved. And so, what comes next? Well, the next 4 years will go by, or 8 years, or however long. Do you get another Republican, or are you looking for something else? Is Trump gonna start a new party, or am I gonna start the Freedom Prepper Party? I don't know. I don't. It's arguable that the days of free and fair elections, YouTube lectures aside, are over. Probably not. We don't assume that. Well, if you want to say that the country is just about over, it's over, it's been over. We're now living in the post-American U.S. or the decline, the final phase of the U.S. Call it whatever you want to. It's perfectly. I know so many people are down right now. I don't have magic words to make things better. But it occurs to me that Trump was about all we had, and it goes back to George Carlin's saying that, hey, this is the best we can do. Now, there's got to be somebody out there, and I know numerous men who would make a fine president, who would make a Caesar-esque president, somebody to, a Cincinnatus, or, but could someone like that at this day and age get elected? I don't know. And should the focus be on, fixing, it's like when the Titanic hit the iceberg, it would be like rushing around the deck saying, is there a really strong man with a bucket? At some point you might need to, shift the focus to the lifeboats and moving on. And that's what we're going to be talking about, not exclusively, but, I think when we discuss practical politics from here on out, we need to be practical and, acknowledge that much as the American nation has been subsumed or was subsumed in the 20th century, so the United States empire appears to be headed the same way. So we've got a lot to work on. Trying to see if there's anything else popping up late. I couldn't resist I think for the last time ever, I have checked QAnon.pub and yeah, trust the plan, patriots. And we did. It was good to trust the plan. Just didn't quite work out. So, some people are going to be saying rash things, thinking rash thoughts. It's fine to think them. Matter of fact, it's perfectly natural to think them. But now is there's going to be a little breathing room and breathing time. Now is the time to kind of, plan the next phase without overly reacting against the events of the day. We've got, I know there's, people are starting to ask, is this the line in the sand? What's your line? I have my line, how far can we be pushed before we do something? That just, one that now that, Biden has won, that is just going to keep feeding into this narrative that they built up literally out of nothing from the 6th. Also, don't if you're coming up with a kind of our backs against the wall, this is it scenarios. Just be mindful that if you start answering those questions, at least publicly, plan to have that used against you by somebody. And not to point the finger at Americans, but you should ask yourself that and then try to honestly answer it, because a lot of us have a lot of lines that were crossed this year, last year, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, and we didn't do anything. So at some point, everybody gets pushed to the limit, and they when will you act? You don't know. And what will it take? You don't know until it happens. So until it happens, kind of keep that to yourself. And preppers, people on the right, right-leaning libertarians, any conservatives that are actually want to conserve something. Now is the time to move forward, but we've got to do it with a little bit more caution, especially if you're just an ordinary, average American. Don't make yourself a target, because I think there is going to be, well, it's not me thinking it, they're outright saying it. Joe Biden said it today. There's going to be retaliation, and they're calling us names, and they better be careful about that. The more they keep saying things, they might make their own prophecies come true, but they want to defeat us, and they're gonna get started with that. They don't want to completely destroy us. They know that they need a lot of us for now, but just beware. And I think things will make themselves more clear as we move forward. And that leads me, probably going to be my final thought. This is just turning into a terrible ramble, but Donald Trump, did not win. He lost, and he didn't do anything about it, or he may have just he may have trusted the plan, and the plan obviously didn't work. Doesn't mean there wasn't a plan. And I at some point, I can't remember if I said it on the show or if I wrote it. I think I wrote it, that if he loses this fight, he deserves to, and that's true. But he's still given us a great gift, and even if he had won, it was again better. It would have been better than most Americans deserve, because of where we have allowed this to. There is a democratic element to America, or there was, and we abused it, neglected it, and it slid, and now it's run over us. But what he has given us, the victory in defeat, is that he has laid everything bare. You would have to be a completely blind, deaf idiot not to see the extent of the rot in the deep state. It's not 100% total, but it's pretty close. There is with a few exceptions, there is almost no difference whatsoever between the Republicans and the Democrats. I mean, do refer to them as the uniparty. And they are assisted by, there are 535 of them, assisted by thousands and thousands of bureaucrats, not all of whom, even the ones that, actively serve the agenda, they're not necessarily evil. They're just, if nothing else, sinecure careerists who make up this giant thing called the swamp that proved impossible for the one man to drain. And there's more good news. We'll get to that later. Working on a series that should help, to some extent, guide us forward. I'm now looking 10, 15 years out and wondering if 10 or 15 years isn't going to kind of get accelerated to 10 or 15 months. I don't know. If you had asked me 6 months ago if Joe Biden would be sworn in today, I would have guessed no. Matter of fact, I said he wouldn't, and he did. But also, if you had asked me 3 weeks ago if he would have done so surrounded by 30,000 armed soldiers, I wouldn't have believed that either. So we don't know what's going to happen. We just know that we can make the best of it. And I guess I will close this out by saying, wishing well the new administration. I will say a few more words to Joe Biden and Vice President Harris. You call for unity, and yet you at the same time you make half the country out to be criminals. And you've come up with a lot of policies, and I know that the radical leftist stuff is going to go on the back burner, and we're back to George Bush, Barack Obama style, big government forever. Except it's not going to last forever. Nothing lasts forever. But this is your chance, if you want unity, to put it in action. Instead of saying that people rioted in an insurrection, just say that they were upset. You could convert a whole lot of those people almost instantly if you just publicly came out and said, I understand why they did it. It was, not going to say it was patriotic, but I understand it. Maybe give them a helping hand. And then I don't think that's going to happen, but congratulations anyway, Team Biden-Harris. You did it. And especially, well, I can't do this either. This is my third or fourth take making this. I've made some missteps, and I don't want to deep six this here at the very end. But I will congratulate the deep state itself on your victory. Lord, let it be temporary, but you won the day. Just don't let it go to your heads. Everybody else, I'll be back. What is tomorrow? Thursday. There'll be tomorrow's show is just kind of, because of scheduling issues, it'll be breezing over the big events. We'll be back, I guess, on Friday talking about these. Monday next week, we'll really move forward, and I'm sure there will be plenty to talk about then. Everybody have a great night, and you know what? Be glad you bought the popcorn. I think we're still going to need it. It's still going to be a fun time, and it's going to be a good year regardless. Good night, folks.